Practical demonstration for Amazon EKS. In the previous video, we covered the theory behind Amazon EKS, which is a fully managed service which actually allows you to run Kubernetes on AWS without need to manage and control your own control plane, right? So here we are going to demonstrate the same. And in order to support that demonstration, I will be using one repository from Shubham, okay? And this specific two-tier Flask app we are going to deploy using EKS, all right? So yeah, let's get started. So before starting this practical demonstration, there are two prerequisites that we actually need to do. First, that we need to launch an EC2 instance, and second would be we need to create an user for performing the operations. Okay. So for now, I am on US East one, that is California. Okay, and here the first thing that I would be doing is let me just create an EC2 instance because it will take some time for creation, right? So let me go over EC2 and launch an instance. So launch instance. I'll just write the name as EKS main plane. Okay, you can write any name followed by the AMI. So AMI I will be choosing Amazon Ubuntu. Okay, and let me scroll down and let me create a new key pair this time. And this is specifically for EKS demo. So just EKS demos. Okay, create key pair. The key pair is downloaded. Okay, we are going to keep all the things by default as is. The instance type is T2 micro. Okay, and click on launch. While it is getting launched, we'll go back to the console home and we'll go to IAM, identity and access management, and here we would be creating one user for performing this operation. Now why I am specifically highlighting on this user is because this is the only user we would be using from Amazon CLI, and through that we would be performing operations. Okay, so go to directly users and click on create user. Here let us write EKS user. Okay, and user and click on provide user access management console. I want to create an IAM user. Write the password. So for now I'll write admin 123 hash for now, and then click on next. Here I already have a group with admin permission, so I'm giving admin access to it, and then click on create user. The user stands to be created now. I'll just download the CSV just for the backup. I'll just return back to the user list and go back again to EC2 user, EKS user. Okay. And we need to create the access key. This is the important thing because we are going to access it through the command line, right? Click on I understand and click on next, create access key. Here we have access key and secret key. So what I'll do, I'll just note it down somewhere else in my local. So vim note.txt file, and here I'm writing the access key, and I'll just copy the secret key as well, and this is my secret key. Okay, and let me just copy the secret key over here also just for the backup. Okay, or else we are good. Oh, we'll just refer that specific repo. Okay, I'll just download the CSV just for the backup and click on done. User is created, EC2 instance is also launched. Now let us take the SSH directly. Rest all the operation will be done over here only. So let us click over here, connect, and let me take the SSH. So I'll just write, okay, yes, okay, it is showing as that it is an unprotected file. So what we need to do is we need to give the permission, correct permission. So the correct permission would be chmod change mode, and we will give 400 permission to the file name. And what is the file name? It is eks hyphen demos with s dot pem file. Done. Now again I'll take an SSH. Okay, and now we are inside the Ubuntu machine. Okay, now the first thing is done. We created the user, we launched the EC2
Go to the
instance.
first link.
Now the third thing would
Okay,
be we need
and
to
here we
install
need to scroll
AWS
down
CLI.
and we need to
So what
select
you need to
Linux.
do is just
Okay,
go to the browser and type AWS
and then we are
CLI
going to use this
install.
command. Okay, let me just copy it and paste it. And before pasting it, we need to install unzip, right, for performing this operation. So that I have already installed. If you want to install the same, you will write sudo apt install unzip. Okay, so if it is installed, it will show the message like that, but if it's not, then you need to install it, right? The next thing would be you need to just copy this command to install the AWS CLI and paste it over here. Next thing would be it is going to install all the files which are actually required for AWS CLI, right? Once it is done, you just need to run a command AWS configure. Okay, and it will ask you for few details. First is the access key ID. All right. So we already have the copy of access key. So let me just paste it. So this is our access key, and then it will ask you for the secret key. All right. Let us share the secret key as well. Done. Default region name. So we are on region US East, US West one, right? That is on California. So I'll just write US hyphen West hyphen one. Done. And default output format, that will be none. And we are done. Now, in order to test whether AWS configure actually worked or not, we are going to run a command AWS IAM list hyphen users. So all the users which are currently present will be listed over here. Why? Because the user is actually having the sudo permission, right? First thing is done. Second thing is also done. Now it's time for us to install the EKS right? So EKS is a simple CLI tool for creating and managing the EKS cluster, right? So just go on the browser and write EKS install, right? And you will be forwarded to this specific website, right? Where you will get all the things which are actually required to download EKS right? So here you need to just copy those commands and execute it for Unix, for Windows, and also there are for Mac, right? Even if you want to run it on Docker, you can do the same, right? But since we are on a Linux-based system, we are going to use this specific command, right? Okay, let me just paste it, enter. All right. Now, once it is done, we need to install kubectl, right? But before that, we need to verify whether EKSCTL is actually installed or not. So I'll just write EKSCTL, enter. All right. Meaning this is actually installed. Now, the second thing is we need to install kubectl. So kubectl is like a controller. It's a command line tool which is actually used for interaction with the Kubernetes cluster. So we'll just need to write kubectl install Ubuntu. Okay, I'll just go to the first link. Okay, and this is the first link which we are getting. So we just copy it and just paste it over here, and uh, kubectl will get installed. Now we are going to follow the next steps. That is, we need to validate the binaries, copy, and again paste it over here. Okay, now next thing, we are going to validate the checksum, and we'll get if it is downloaded correctly, we are going to get kubectl. Okay, all right, we received this message, meaning everything looks fine and we are good to go, right? Now the next thing is we need to scroll down, and here we are going to actually install kubectl. So this is the final command, and that was the actual prerequisite which was actually required to actually check whether kubectl will be able to run into your system or not, right? So let's check the version, kubectl version hyphen hyphen client. So all right, it is also done, right? Now EKSCTL is installed, kubectl is also present. We have done the basic configuration, and now it's time for us to create the EKS cluster. How would we create it? So we just need to write EKSCTL create cluster, okay, and followed by we need to provide the name of the cluster. And what would be the name of the cluster? So here we will write EKS cluster. So this would be simple name, okay, and followed by the region. So hyphen hyphen region, and here the region is US West 1. Let me just check it again. We are on North California, which is US West 1, right? All right. Now, second is we need to define the minimum and maximum node type. That is the server count that it will be checking, right? For let's say if the why we are actually defining the minimum maximum count is, so let's say if the traffic increases, so how much does it should scale up and scale down? That values we are actually defining. So hyphen hyphen node hyphen type. Okay. So first we are going to define the node type. So which sort of machine it should actually take. Okay, so it should be t2.micro. Okay, and then we need to define the minimum and maximum node. So we are going to define hyphen hyphen nodes and minimum count should be, let's say, 2, and hyphen nodes hyphen max, and maximum count should be 3. So let me explaining this command, right? So what is happening? We are first creating the cluster name EKS cluster in the region US West 1, where the node type, the machine type, the server type is T2 micro, and where the minimum node count would be 2 and maximum node count is 3, right? Just press enter, and what it is going to do is it is going to create the EKS cluster for you, right? And at the backend, what are the things which are happening is it is first going to create an EKS cluster, and then it will going to create the nodes for you. The minimum nodes which we defined here is 2, right? So it will create all those things at the backend. Now, if you wonder where actually it is getting created, and need to show, I need to see actually what are the logs and what are the things which are happening at the backend. You can just check the cloud formation, right? So just go here and click on cloud formation, where you actually can see what is happening at the back end, right? So here, let's just wait, and here is the EKS CTS cluster, okay? And here it is showing that the creation is in progress, right? So if you go on events, there are 71 events which are actually happening at the back end. What it is going to do is first it is going to create the cluster, then VPC, then internet gateway. These all the things we don't actually need to worry about. This actually has been taken care by the AWS. Okay, so we just need to wait for some time. It usually takes 5 to 10 minutes for EKSCTL to create the cluster, the control plane. Okay, we'll just wait for some time. Once it is ready, we are going to resume from this save point. All right. All right, so now our EKS cluster in US West 1 region is ready, which you can actually validate from here from the cloud formation, right? And even if you go to EKS, it will show you that the cluster is created. Let me just open the EKS, okay? And you can see the EKS cluster is actually created, right? And when you go to compute, here there are two nodes which are present. As we mentioned earlier, the minimum capacity should be 2 and the maximum should be 3, right? So yeah, the prerequisite things are done. Now let us go back here. Let me just clear the screen. And here we are going to first verify the cluster using kubectl. So I'll just write kubectl get nodes. Okay. So right now you can see the nodes are also present. We can also check the namespaces. So I'll just write kubectl get namespace. Okay, so these are the namespaces which are currently present. Now if I want to see how many pods are present in this cube system namespace, so what will I do? I'll just write kubectl get pods from the namespace cube hyphen system. So these are the pods which are currently active, up and running, right? Now the next thing is we need to update the kube config. Now for how we can do that, we just need to write AWS EKS update hyphen kube config. Okay, and here the name of the kube config should be EKS hyphen cluster. Okay, and then the next thing is the region. So region would be hyphen region US West 1, right? Enter. Now let me explain you what actually it is doing. AWS EKS update kube config. So it is actually the CLI command to update your kube config for EKS. Second is hyphen name hyphen EKS cluster. This specifies the name of your EKS cluster. In this case, here the EKS cluster name is EKS cluster, right? And the third thing is region. We are defining the region where your EKS cluster is running. All right. Okay. The next thing that we need to do is we are going to deploy a two-tier Flask app. And how do we do that? We are first going to clone this repo. So let me just copy the code, and here I'll just write git clone, enter, done. Okay. Once it is done, we are going to go inside this repo. So two-tier Flask app. And the main thing that you need to remember is you need to first switch to the EKS branch. So git checkout EKS. Let me show you the branch. So we are targeting this specific branch because all the manifest files are kept over there, right? So when you do ls, you will file EKS manifest file folder over there, right? So just go to EKS hyphen manifest. Okay, and when you do an ls, all the manifest files which are actually required are present over here. Now the next thing is we need to create a namespace, right? So either you can do it by command line or with the help of file you can also do, right? With the command we already saw. Now it's time to create the namespace using the YAML file. Now let me show you what is there inside the namespace.yaml file. Okay, so here we are defining the namespace as two-tier ns, right? Now how do you create a namespace using the file? You just need to write kubectl hyphen f kubectl apply from the file hyphen f followed by the file name namespace.yaml. Okay, let me just correct the command kubectl. It's not kubeclt. Okay, let me just clear it. Kubectl. All right. Now the namespace is created. Now it's time to apply all the SQL manifest file. All right. So let me just check what are the SQL manifest file we have. MySQL deployment, MySQL PVC, MySQL service, MySQL PV, and MySQL secrets. All right. Let us apply all the SQL files. So kubectl apply hyphen f. Let us start one by one. Okay, so first we are going to use MySQL deployment. Okay, MySQL hyphen deployment.yaml followed by the next file, that is MySQL pvc.yaml. Next file would be MySQL hyphen service.yaml, and next is hyphen f MySQL pv.yaml. Okay, and next is MySQL secret.yaml. Okay, so let me just check once again. We added deployment, okay, PVC, service, okay, PV, and secrets file. All right, let me just press on enter. Okay, let me just correct the command. Let me just correct it to kubectl. I have a habit of writing it as kubeclt, so apologies for that. And here that deployment is created. Now the next thing would be we have applied all the manifest file for the MySQL. Okay, now the next thing would be we need to get all the uh, nodes which are currently present, not the nodes, the manifest file which we applied. We need to check whether it is actually present or not. So I just need to write kubectl get all hyphen n from the namespace, and here the namespace is two tier, and as if I'm not wrong, let me just check it once again. Cat namespace. Okay, all right, so the namespace is two tier ns. All right, let us execute this command and see whether the applied configurations files are present or not. All right, so all the files which we applied is currently present over here, right? Now it's time for us to apply all the Flask manifest file. So we are going to first list the files. All right, let me just write kubectl apply hyphen f. First we are going to apply the Flask deployment YAML followed by Flask service. Okay, Again, I need to correct that kubectl thing. Okay, kubectl. Okay, all right. This deployment is also created. All right. Now again, we are going to run that command kubectl -n to dir ns. Okay, and here the thing is we can see all the pods which we actually executed from those manifest file are actually running, right? You can see it is showing the status as running. Okay, the thing here is we need to just copy this external IP which is from the load balancer, okay, which will actually help us to see the two-tier Flask application, right? Let me just copy this external IP, okay, and go to the browser and I'll just type http colon slash slash followed by the external IP which we copied, okay. It will take some time and then it will get load, okay, because this is the first time which we have executed this, okay. Let us wait for some time. The status right now here is container creating. That's why it is actually taking the time, right? Let me just run that command once again so that we are all on the same page. Okay, now it is showing that both the containers are up and running, and I think when we refresh it, the application should load over here. All right. It took some time, and then finally we are able to use the application. Let me just write my name. All right, the application is actually running, right? And for providing this specific code and for helping us to learn EKS, I would like to thank Shubham. Okay, so this application is working fine, right? Now, how do we go back to square one? How do we delete all the resources we installed? So that is just a simple command. We just need to be present on the place where we actually implemented all the manifest file, right? How we would do that? We just need to write kubectl delete -f dot, okay, because it is present in the current file. And let me just correct the kubectl again. Okay, now it is deleting all the manifest file which we have actually installed through it. Okay, once all the manifest files are deleted, when I say manifest file, it is not actually deleting the manifest file, it is deleting the pods which you have created for running that two-tier application. Once it is done, we are going to delete the EKS cluster which we created, right? So we don't actually need to worry about like whatever things got created, like it had created the load balancer, the cloud front, the nodes, and everything. We just need to wait for some time and then it will get deleted. All right. If you go back to EC2 instance, right now you should actually check the current behavior, right? Okay, you can see right now four servers are running, out of which one was the main plane which we actually used for connecting it through SSH, and three are the one which is actually helping us to run this application, right? Okay, so now what will happen if I accidentally, by any chance, if I delete it? Right now we have just deleted this pods, right? So eventually when you try this thing, just delete this server and it will get swarm up. Okay, it will just respawn again, right? Now the next thing is we want to actually delete this EKS cluster, and how would we do that? We just need to write EKSCTL, okay, followed by delete cluster hyphen name of the cluster, and the name of our cluster was EKS cluster, okay, and the region was hyphen region. It was US hyphen west 1. Okay, that was all. This command will actually delete the entire thing which we created. We just need to wait for some time. It actually takes some time to create and it takes some time to delete, right? So we will just need to wait for some time. and the EKS cluster will get deleted along with the resources which actually it created, right? Let us wait for some time. For the meantime, if you want to see the actual behavior, what is happening at the backend, just refresh, go to the cloud formation, and it will show that the deletion is actually in progress. And it will delete all the resources, all the 71, 72 resources which were created. It is showing the 86 events were there, right? And whatever resources were created during those events will get deleted now, right? Let us wait for some time and we should be good to go. Alright, it shows that all the clusters and the resources were deleted. So the cluster which was deleted was EKS cluster and the resources are deleted associated with it. Right. So if you go and select, it will show that the stack is actually deleted. Right now it is showing that deletion is in progress. If you go to stack, the stack won't be able to be there. Right. Let me just refresh it. The stack will get clear in some time. Okay. And the second thing is when you go to the nodes, when you just go to the cluster, okay, it is showing the cluster is now active, okay, but after some time it will also get removed, right? It's under deletion progress. It is actually taking some time for deletion also, but that's guaranteed for sure that all the resources which it created will get deleted eventually, right? If you try to access the application now, it won't be able to access, right? Now when you go to instances, just refresh it. Apart from the one in which you are doing your SSH, that should be present over there, and rest should be get it terminated, right? Right now it is showing that one instance is running. Okay, it will also get terminated after some time. You just need to wait for some times. You just need to watch CloudFront. Okay, it is showing that the deletion is in progress. Once everything is deleted, it will just notify you, right? So yeah, that was all about this specific demonstration, and see you in the next one. Don't need to worry. Okay, it will delete all the resources. All right, even if there are few resources by any chance not deleted, you can just go manually, see over here which is not deleted, go on the resources and you can delete it directly, right? So yeah, that was all, and see you in the next one.